Hello coders, welcome back to another video from the coding cabin, obviously, because it's on my channel. So next video will probably be the assembly video. I'm thinking about getting out a operating system with assembly, so like going through how to create an operating system with assembly. So watch out for that next video. Also, in the description of this video, I'm going to put a Discord, and you can go there to just, like, if you have any problems with the code, I will be more than happy to debug it, and I'll also link the GitHub repo that I use for this. Anyway, let's get into the video. So, if you haven't seen yesterday's video, well, not yesterday's video, depending on when I upload this, if you haven't seen the last video, it talks about how to set up lightweight Java game library. I highly recommend watching that. If you're on Linux, it should be the same, but I recommend watching that. Unless you've already set it up, then just watch this tutorial, obviously. So open up your IDE. We're going to create a new project. This one is my base, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do in today's video. So in today's video, we're going to create this. And it's just a simple triangle, but it's going to go through the functions, classes, and we're going to go through how to create a window and how to actually start rendering. So, that being said, let's get into today's topic. So, go to your IDE and create a new project, and, call out whatever you want. I am just going to, I don't even know what I'm going to call it. OpenGL. I'm going to call it OpenGL tutorial, because, that's what it is. Okay, create, so we're going to do two things. Create a new package, just call that one main, and create another package and call that one whatever you want. I'm just going to call this engine. So obviously these are packages, so you can name them as whatever you want. I just kind of name these because this is going to relate to what we're doing. The first package we created, main, is not actually going to hold anything. It is just going to contain our run class that we're going to use to open up the engine and actually get running. So if we go into, not engine, if we go into main and we create a new class, call it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine run, and add in the main function. So public static void main string args. And then here's what we're going to do. We don't actually have a window class yet, but this is what we're going to write. Not new, we're going to write window.get.run. And we're going to create these methods, obviously. We don't have a window class yet. So, that being said, let's create these methods. We're going to go into engine, class, and then name it, obviously, window. And then in this one, we're going to actually create a private window instance. And I'm merely doing this so this application can only hold one window. So it can only create one. You can obviously make it to do multiple, but in this tutorial, we're only doing one. So, that being said, window instance equals null, private window. And this will create a private constructor, so we can actually create it. And then we're going to do public static window get if instance equals null, instance equals new window. And what this does is it says, did I type instance wrong? No. Oh, okay, yeah. Private static window instance. And what this does is it basically says, okay, if we don't have an instance, create one. And then simply return that instance. Return instance. So this will return the instance if it's already created. If it's not created, then it's going to create one and return it. And now we're going to do public void run. And run is going to be just a method that calls two methods. The first method is init, and the next method is loop. And then and we're actually going to call these private void init. Yeah, and then private void loop. This is what I do usually when I'm creating an OpenGL project. Obviously, you can change these to suit your needs, but this is what I'm doing. And this is, yeah. So if you have basic knowledge of Java, this should make sense to you. But we're just creating an init and a loop method, and calling those from the run function. Anyway, moving on, we are now going to actually create the window. So what I like to do, and I actually haven't seen anything against this, but because, okay, so the way GLFW and, not GLFW, the way Lightweight Java Game Library works is it has multiple GL versions, and then those GL versions have different functions that were added in that version. However, the most recent version also extends all the previous versions. So what you can do is you can access all of the versions functions from the most recent version. And we're just going to do that. I've seen people say this is bad practice. I don't really care. It works. If you don't want to do that, you're welcome to. And yeah, so let's just get into it. So I'm going to just type import, and I know Eclipse auto imports, but I'd rather do this myself. Import static org.lightweightjavagamelibrary.opengl.gl40, and this .start. This is very important. If you don't type it exactly like this, you are going to get an error. If you don't type it exactly like that, you're not going to be able to run OpenGL, because you're going to get, because we might be using like GL40 and you might have typed GL30 and stuff like that. So just make sure you import it exactly like that. And what I actually didn't do that I need to do is I need to add I need to add the Lightweight Java Game Library jars. So what I'm going to do is I might have it on, nope, I don't. So we're just going to have to delete that. Just continue. What? Oh, I just deleted the run function. Okay. I'm just going to create that real quick, and then I will do this. So public static void main string args, and then window.get.run. Okay, sorry about that. So I have to add OpenGL. I have to add my libraries to OpenGL. So what I'm going to do is, I already have it, and I already have a library created, and I'm just going to do OpenGL Lightweight Java Game Library 3. So my library is already created. If you watched the first video, you will have this library created, and you can just do what I just did, which is import a user library. But yeah. Anyway, so we're going to import static org.lightweightjavagamelibrary.gl40, but we're also going to import static org.lightweightjavagamelibrary.glfw.glfw.star. And what this is going to do is this is going to import all of the GLFW functions. And the interesting thing, and the reason we can actually import static and just call that a day, is because every function in Lightweight Java Game Library is static. It's It's a wrapper class. It's not a wrapper class. It's a wrapper for C, and they import it statically because C allocates memory and everything. If you watched my assembly tutorial videos, you'd understand this a little bit more. Essentially, they use it statically because, like, they can get instances. It doesn't really matter, but basically, import static is going to import all the static commands, and the reason this works is because all of the commands in lightweight Java game library are static. Okay, so then we're actually going to create the window. So what we're going to have to do here is GLFW init, and I've never included make sure it's correct type thing. You can if you want, which is just if not GLFW init. But I can't type. If not GLFW init system.out.println could not initialize GLFW. Just like that. I don't actually do that. You can if you want to. I've just never had a problem with initializing GLFW where I would need to do that. Anyway, coming down, after initializing GLFW, we actually have to set something called window hints. And a GLFW window hint, to put it simply, is just different configurations for the window before we create it. So we're going to set a few window hints. The first one we're going to set is resizable. So just type GLFW window hint GLFW, and this is in all caps, resizable, and then GLFW underscore false. And I typed resizable wrong. GLFW underscore resizable. There we go. And then semicolon, of course. And what this does, it basically says resizable is false. You can do resizable equal to true, and you can handle it and everything. I usually don't, just because I don't actually know. I just don't, because it's a lot more work, and I don't tend to actually resize windows anyway. If you're going to release this, definitely do resizable and handle it. And yeah. So GLFW window hint. The next one we're going to type, is GLFW window hint. And then this one is going to be GLFW underscore visible is equal to GLFW underscore false. And you might be expecting, you might say, well, why are we saying visible to false? That's because we don't really want to show the window until we finish initializing everything. And the GLFW initializing process can take a variable amount of time, but you don't really want to show the window and then have it initialize in case something is taking a long time, and then the user just kind of has a window and they think the application is broken. So you just don't want to show the window till you've got everything. And we're going to call show window, obviously. And now the next one we're going to do is GLFW window hint, GLFW window hint, GLFW underscore context underscore version underscore major is version 3. So this just says, okay, the major version is 3, and we're also going to set the minor version as well. But this basically says, it basically says, like, for example, Minecraft 1.17 came out. The major version is 1. The minor version is 17. So 1.17 would be a major and minor version. And that's what we're setting, basically. And now we're going to do the same thing for the minor version. So GLFW window hint, window hint, GLFW underscore context underscore version underscore minor, and that is going to be 3. And you can pick any number you want up to version 4.5. I just picked 3.3 because I use version 330 in the shaders, which will make sense. But you can really pick whatever you want for this. as long as you don't go like up, as long as you don't set this to like 6 and this to like 1000. So we just have to reset these. So yeah, as of recording this, I'm pretty sure the most recent version is 4.5, so you can set up to that. And now is the fun part, which is to create the window. And okay, so the way OpenGL works and Lightweight Java Game Library 3 is it uses IDs for things. It creates and then returns the IDs for different things, and we need those IDs to perform different tasks. And the reason this happens is because OpenGL was written in C, and C uses pointers and everything for for the functions. So we're going in here. We're actually going to create a long window ID, which is going to store the ID of our window so we can reference it later and actually work on it. So private long window ID. Simple enough. And now we go down here and we go window ID equals GLFW create window. And these are going to be our parameters. The first one is how large we want it. And when I'm creating a game, I always set it to 800, 600. I don't know why, just kind of a habit. It looks nice to me at least, so you can set it to whatever you want. But the first parameter is the width. Second parameter is the height. The third parameter is the title, and this is obviously going to take a string. And then these two just set to 0. I'm not entirely sure what they do. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I always just set them to 0. You can check the documentation. I'll link it in the description. But I just set them to 0 because it's never made a difference to me. Maybe some specific use cases they may need to be set to different numbers, but I never set them to anything. Okay, so now we're going to do GLFW make context current, and this is window ID. And the reason we're going to make the context current is for the next function and for all the functions after. So what OpenGL does is it looks at the current window context. And GLFW make context current creates a OpenGL context and sets the active window to the window that we specified. So that's what that line does. And then gl.create capabilities just sets up OpenGL and makes sure the window can draw. So this doesn't actually create the context. This just sets it so that OpenGL knows which window to work on. This one actually creates it and everything, and sets it up so it can draw. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our loop. And we're going to do while not window should close, and then pass window ID. And that line is it's GLFW window should close. That line is pretty self-explanatory. It basically just says do this while the user hasn't pressed the X button. And now what we're going to do is, so what I like to do is I like to create a clear color, and I like to do all of that right off the bat. You can ignore these two lines for now, but you probably shouldn't. And the two lines are GL clear color, and then this is the color, and then I'm going to explain these in a minute. GL clear, GL underscore color underscore buffer underscore bit. Okay. And this one, okay, so this line first just says, okay, we're going to clear, and I want you to draw this color in to clear it. So what it does is it clears and then it draws this color. This is essentially background color, and then this is RGBA. So RGBA, and then the max is 1, and 0 is obviously 0, and anything in between. So if you're used to working with RGBA to 255, 0 to 255, just think of 255 as 1 and 0 as 0, obviously. And yeah, so that should be the window. And actually, no, sorry, we have to do 2 more things. GL swap buffers, and that is window ID, and then GL pull events. And actually, sorry, so these are GLFW swap buffers, and that takes window ID, and GLFW pull events. And GLFW swap buffers swaps the buffers to draw. So the buffer you draw on is different from the buffer that's displaying. And what GLFW swap buffers does is it takes the buffer you drew on and displays it, and takes the buffer that was just displaying and clears it so you can draw on it. And then so GLFW swap buffers doesn't clear it, but we tell it to clear it. And then GLFW pull events just pulls the events for callbacks that we're going to handle in the next video. And so that should be your window. And I'm just going to save and run this. And, wrong class, sorry. And if you run it, okay, so what the issue here is we didn't actually do GLFW show window. So GLFW show window, and then just window ID. Window ID, yeah. And now if you run it, you should get a window. And if you did the clear color and clear color buffer bit, you're going to get a white background, or whatever you put in the RGBA. If you didn't, and I can show you what happens if you didn't, you should just get a black background. Yeah, you're just going to get a black background. Okay, so that's your window, and I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to take like a 5-minute break. For you guys, it'll be like 2 seconds. And when I come back, we are actually going to draw, and then we're actually going to draw this. Hey, Coding Cameron from the future here. Just to let you guys know that this video actually took longer than expected. So I'm actually going to split this into 3 different videos. So yeah. So this is going to be the first video, and then I've already recorded video 2 and 3, and they will be up soon. But I'm just going to split this into 3 different videos.